The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to the Ring and All of Sports. My name is Leo Connors, and I'm your host. And tonight, making his second appearance, Ryan Drew. Ryan, thanks, man. Thank you for coming in. Ryan, a big day on Saturday for you and the guys you trained with and everything. Saturday night at Madison Square Garden, Matt Taven defeated Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll in an epic ladder match to win the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. Honestly, can you tell us how you were feeling like all day? Like, I mean, you had that drive down there and then sitting there.
I wasn't planning on well, I wanted to go.
Right.
I was like, I really should go. And then, but I was up in the air about it because I don't like traveling.
Yep.
And to drive into the city or do anything like that I don't even like driving into Boston. So I just imagined driving into New York City. And Vinny guilted me into it and said, you really should be there for Matt and be there for us. And I said, yeah, okay. So I got a couple tickets and I took some of the students down with me and we made a day of it. But honestly, I was really psyched for, it was Madison Square Garden,
right, exactly.
And just kind of thinking about where they all start. That's when I think about them, I always just think about them as the beginning. I don't. They've done a bunch of stuff, and I always just think about them from the beginning. So it's kind of funny. And I don't know. The ride up was just a lot of fun. We didn't really talk about Taven and Vinny and TK as much as we just kind of, because they were kind of newer students with me. So I just kind of did a lot of talking about wrestling and what's wrong with wrestling, what's right with wrestling, and context in wrestling and everything like that.
Right.
So it wasn't until I guess I sat down that I was like, wow, this is pretty incredible that they're here in the world famous Madison Square Garden. And it's incredible. And I can just imagine how they were feeling.
Right.
And and then Vinny it's funny because Vinny's texting me while I'm waiting in line to get a beer or something. And he's like, because he was supposed to do something in the later match. He was supposed to do something with the ladder. And he's like, which way should I stand? How should I climb up? And I was like, I don't know. Ask Bully Ray. I don't know. I don't know where the hard cam is or any of that. But it just goes to show you, like, they'll still ask me for advice. And at that point, I don't know.
Right.
Ask Joey Mercury or somebody like that. And I'm sure he did. So maybe he was just being polite. I think the night started off awesome with Vinny and TK in the Rumble there.
Yep.
And I should say they're not my students, but I was really happy Brian Malonis was in it too.
Yeah.
He's somebody that worked very hard to get where he was, and I saw his brother Jimmy post a couple things, and I thought that was really cool that they could share that moment. And it was well deserved. And then TK and Vinny, so they were in towards the end with Jushin Thunder Liger and Great Muta, and I thought that was crazy. Right? I thought that was nuts. Like that popped me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I know TK worked Jushin Liger on some Northeast shows, but then the Great Muta, and I didn't know he was going to be there, So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And then they had that standoff, the four of them, and they just did that on the fly because Vinny was like, well, I'm going to get us over, so we're going to do a stare off, and it worked. That's all they needed. So I took pictures of that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's incredible. And I was talking to Vinny during the show and stuff, and he said he broke down afterwards, and he was very thankful for everything, and it kind of got me going. So I was like, well, let me go take a walk, and I'll go buy some merch for them, and so that was that. And then oh man, what a long night. Just a long night, And I shouldn't say I don't like that type of wrestling, but a lot of it just kind of turns to mush after a while,
Well, it's spot fest.
It's a spot fest, and it's cool. A spot
Right,
fest is
right.
cool. One or two of them. When there's 50 of them, it's kind of
Right.
hard to keep track of it. And there was a lot of New Japan guys there that I
Right.
had never seen or
Yeah.
anything. And I thought that was pretty cool. Their gimmicks are so funny though, because they're either like jokey gimmicks,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm a rugby player, or it's like I'm a badass, I'm from a motorcycle club, or whatever it is. But there's really no in between.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very strange. And then we had the ladder match with Taven and Lethal and Marty, and yeah, I mean, just watching the entrance, I was like, man, this is so cool, because it's just amazing.
Right.
Just what they've all. It's the journey that, you know, I remember, and just all the hardships that they've gone through,
Right.
and Taven's gone through. You know, he was on the verge of getting signed,
Yep.
and it got pulled, and he was just heartbroken. And when something like that happens, you question if this is
Right.
why even bother, you know. But he stuck with it, and he ended up going to Ring of Honor and going to New Japan and being a champion there, and then to main event Madison Square Garden in a ladder match, 25 years from the big ladder match between Shawn
Right.
Michaels and Razor Ramon. And I know he was a huge Shawn Michaels mark growing up, so it was kismet. It was fate, and I didn't know he was going over for the title. So when that happened, I think I was just like, I was in complete shock. I was like, did that just, you know, because nobody gave me the Iggy on it. So I was just like, wow, that was incredible. It was really incredible. So and then I was like, let's get out of here. I got to drive home.
Right. 5 hours.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too because you brought up Muta and Liger. I
Yep.
guess that was Muta's first time in Madison Square Garden
Oh,
too, because
really?
he never
Wow.
worked for the WWE.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And Malonis' first
Yeah,
time.
yeah, that was cool.
You know, Flip was on the show.
Yeah,
It's just New England is just all over the place.
Yeah. It was very
know?
good for all of them. I was happy for all of them, and well deserved. Well
Yeah.
deserved.
And I have to bring up Todd Warbeard Hansen.
Oh yes, I thought you
that-
meant another Todd.
No, I'm sorry. No, but that was just incredible too.
Yeah.
Just how they opened the show, and it was an amazing match. And
Right.
Ricochet and it looks like Aleister Black got their send off afterwards. Just been great. And you had brought up how Brian got to share that with his brother.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a video today. Todd got to share his moment
Oh
with
yes,
his dad.
his father. I
Yeah,
saw
that was
that.
really
Yeah.
cool.
That's the kind of stuff that really, you know, kind of warms your heart from,
Right.
especially if you work, you know, on this side of the aisle, is that you see these guys and you know their struggle, even if it's just kind of a little bit of their struggle or what they've might have gone through. You know, with Warbeard had the surgery, and you know, I know he had gone to TV a couple times, and really, you know, it's such a hardship, and to see them to be able to finally make something of themselves and to share it with their family, because the family knew the hardships. It's heartwarming, and that's what makes it all worth it, I guess.
Right.
Plus the money.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Real
Right.
quick, you know, they all have elaborate entrances
Mm-hmm.
at WrestleMania. My buddy Sean Wiggins, what's up, Sean? He's a referee for Dreamer.
Okay.
House of Hardcore, used to work for Jersey All Pro and Ring of Honor.
Yep.
Was the driver for Batista last night.
Oh,
I'm
that's
watching
funny.
the thing. I'm like, that look, but there was never a good close up.
Yeah.
Like, that looks like Sean. I found out this morning it was him. So
Oh.
it's really cool. Don Vega worked the show. He was one of Batista's like bodyguards and stuff.
Oh, at the WrestleMania.
Yeah, so I
Oh.
thought that all, you know, pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's nice how they try to get everybody a payday. I know it was a 7.5-hour show,
Right.
but it's nice that they're trying to get everybody on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I like that.
That's good.
We're gonna move it to fan questions.
You think they were really trying hard to get Don Vega on the show?
No, I don't. That's the
Like
thing.
Vince was like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
we gotta get
we
that
gotta
guy
get-
on the show.
The only thing I
Give
want-
me Don Vega."
I'm just wondering because they were just here last week, so
Right,
Don
right.
probably's like, "Hey man, can you use me for WrestleMania?" I don't know how he did it, but he's
Yeah,
smart.
yeah,
He get
right,
on
right,
it.
Right. Good for him.
Tommy Mack, who
Yes.
just came off a pretty successful show that he ran
Yeah,
in
I
Concord, New
I wanted
Hampshire.
to go there. Yeah.
It was really good. Tommy Mack wants to know, ask him about wrestling as Zero.
Yeah.
No hot punches.
So before, I've got a question for Tommy Mack when
Okay.
he makes his appearance. Why couldn't you draw like that for me in Lowell last year at the Spinners Stadium? So
Because he did pack that place in Concord.
he did. I saw pictures, so good for him. What was the question?
That's right. Ask him
Zero.
about Zero. Is that what your name was?
Yeah, when
Okay.
when Showcase Pro Wrestling first started out, Chris Blackheart didn't want to use me as Ryan Waters. He wanted to use me as Zero, and he put me under a mask. And I think the name was a rib on my charisma because
Okay.
I just was like had zero charisma, and now I'm like a level 2 charisma now. But I don't know. It was just he wanted me to be a luchador, and that's I just I mean I could do all the flips and stuff, but
Right.
I don't know. It was bad. And then the heart punchers were because when this was probably like 2007 2008. I had in 2006 I kind of had like I won't say a nervous breakdown, but it was pretty rough for me in 2006. And I started having really bad palpitations, which were at the time I didn't know what they were. I thought I was
Right.
having heart attacks all the time, but surviving them. And what it was panic. I was having panic attacks.
Okay.
And so I would always have these palpitations, really bad palpitations, and they would send me into a panic or whatever. And when I got back into wrestling, and this was around the time Showcase Pro Wrestling, and I was around Tommy Mack a little more, I was still very paranoid about anything relating to my heart area.
Right.
So I think he wanted to do a heart punch or something. And I was just like, yeah, that's not in the cards. I don't want to take heart punches, chops, kicks to the chest, basically anything near my heart.
Right.
And actually, one time I was on a show with Fuller, and I'm walking by him, and just casually walking by him, and he just goes, boom, right in my chest. And I'm like, yeah, I thought I was going to have a heart attack, but I didn't. I'm fine.
I'm surprised though, because Rick's got some hot shots,
right.
man.
Well, afterwards he's like, "Oh, I forgot. Oh my God, I forgot." I was like, "That's all right. I survived." So
Right.
That's where that comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just before did you watch WrestleMania?
I didn't watch WrestleMania.
Okay.
I was at work.
Okay. What about and Takeover?
No, I was at Ring of Honor.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Right.
Sorry, Nathan. Next time, okay,
Sorry,
buddy?
Nate.
That's all right. JP Griffin wants to know, what moments in your career are you most proud of? And what moment of one of your students is the most proud of, other than the obvious ones
Right.
who wrestled Saturday in MSG?
I guess I don't know. I think I'm most proud of just being able to teach my students and do that kind. I think I found my niche in that. Like that just it fits me. It suits me very well. Not everybody can be a trainer. You could be a great wrestler and not a good trainer. And I think likewise, you could be a good trainer, maybe not necessarily a good wrestler.
Right.
So I really think I've really enjoyed wrestling. I like seeing their progress, and there's certain plateaus in wrestling that you reach.
Right.
And it's awesome to see them reach those steps and those plateaus. It's hard to see them tumble, but it's good to remind them that, look, there's been guys before you that have taken that same tumble, and it's just part of failing is part of success. And you just wipe the dirt back off and right back on the horse.
Yep.
So
nice.
I think that's what that is. Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a real question or not from Nick Steele. So it's definitely a ball buster, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Ask why you didn't want to do the Gino Giovanni gimmick of the American Idol.
I was the American Idol. When I first started, that was my name, right?
Yeah.
They said, I remember Guy Alexander hit me up and said, do you have any idea for a gimmick? And I thought that was their job.
Right.
I don't know. And I said, I don't know. I like, maybe the USA thing. It seems like it's easy, I was a Hogan mark growing up. And he said, okay, you got a nickname? And I think I gave him a couple nicknames. I remember one of them was Red, White, and Blue Ryan Drew. And the other one was the American Idol Ryan Waters. And Waters came from because I liked to swim. And I was a state champion diver. So they went with the American Idol. And then I just was going to do the Red, White, and Blue thing. And then we had a big meeting for Yankee Pro Wrestling one time. And that was the first time I had met Gino, or I had met people from the SCCW side because they were two factions. And so Gino was one of them. I think he was the booker for South Coast Championship Wrestling. And he had said, "You're the American Idol Ryan Waters?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "The gimmick should be you should come out singing." And I just looked at him. I said, "That's not happening." And after that, I just had heat with Gino forever because I rub people the wrong way sometimes. And it wasn't because the idea was bad. I liked the idea. It just wasn't it wasn't
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
There was no way that I could. It took me 17 years to feel comfortable getting drunk at a VFW in front of 3 people to do karaoke.
Right, right.
Forget about doing it in front of the 5 people that they drew at the flea market in 2002 in New Bedford. You know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
And Nick came up with the H2O name.
Oh, he did?
He did, yeah.
Nice, nice. This is Nick Still. I'm kind of curious. I think he meant not Mayor McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think he meant, ask him if he is Mayor
Mayor
McCheese,
McCheese.
or if you are not, who do you think it is?
So that I think the name Mayor McDonald's is a lot better.
I do too. It actually is, because it popped. I laughed.
Yeah,
my butt
I
off when
did too.
saw
I
that.
did too. Nick has a funny way of getting names very, very wrong. Because I think I had replied something like, "Yeah, I always like the Zap Zappa Jr."
Yeah.
Which he meant Zack Sabre Jr.
Right.
But he was going on a tangent. And he's like, "Oh, I like that Zap Zappa Jr." You know, so he always just says these names.
Right.
He once called JT. Well, he called JT Dunn. Oh man, I forget, but it was really funny. He called JT Dunn something. The Juice he called him Juice Robinson, but the Juice Robinson kid, you know,
Right.
before there was a Juice Robinson.
Yeah,
So-
because he was in the Juicy Product with David Stein.
yeah.
Right,
So
right,
he was
okay.
calling him that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not Mayor McCheese. I kind of wish I was.
Right.
For 2 reasons, because sometimes he's really funny.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the other thing is, so people would just stop talking about him. And I've toyed with the idea of being like, yeah, I am.
right.
Just to see what would happen, you know, because I remember this when it first came out. This was the Burning Hammer days,
Yes.
and there was a Mayor McCheese. I don't know if they're the same Mayor McCheese, but we were at a showcase show. I was probably 0 that night, and some kid, Tom Kane, he was a Bob Evans student.
Okay.
And at the time they all thought Mayor McCheese was this kid Eric Dillon. And I remember this kid, Tom Kane, went up to Eric Dillon and was going to he was getting in his face. And Eric Dillon was like 15 years old.
Right.
And I was like, gee, like how crazy is that people get so upset over these kind of minuscule jokes
Right,
online.
right.
And so like a part of me is like, man, I wish maybe I should say it's me, because I don't know, what everybody gonna beat me up? Like, I don't care.
Right.
I've been beat up before and it don't matter, you know? But no, it's not me. The names that I've heard, like people say Teddy, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
Because he doesn't have the attention span to go 7 years on Twitter.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody would have known. So I don't know. When we were in the car driving to New York, Channing Thomas said that he definitely thought it was Dan Terry.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't know Dan, but I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
You know, because
I could see that
there's
too
some
from Dan.
bitterness there. But it's all over the place. I'm not very good at Twitter, but when I go on, I'll check to see what he's said. But it's all over the place, so it's got to be somebody in the know,
Right.
currently in the know. And yeah, I don't know. I guess Dan Terry.
Maybe it could be. It could be.
Or
Dan.
George Carroll. I guess I heard George Carroll too.
I've also heard Tony
Yeah.
D'Alfonso. I've heard that
yeah,
name too.
I
I've
could
heard
see
Mark
Tony.
Sherman.
I don't think it's Mark
Yeah.
Sherman. No. I don't
And it's
see
great
Sherman.
because, like you said, it's funny, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I've even been ribbed on it, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool. I have
exactly.
no problem with it. I just think it's funny.
There's been some pretty bad things he said
Oh,
about
yeah.
me on
Oh,
there.
really?
But yeah. But I try to laugh it off. But you know,
Right.
I laugh it off online. But in reality, I seethe with anger.
Yeah, you'd love to slap
I
across
would.
the face.
I'd like
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
I'd like to be at a showcase show
Yeah.
and go up to him and start shoving him like that Tom Kane kid did. But you know.
Well, it's funny when he said it to me. He said something, and I was like, "Well, you should have came over and said hi." And he's like, "I did." I'm like,
Dun dun dun.
"Yeah." There was like 50 people that said hi to me that day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tony Spencer again. Do you think Nick Steele could beat up Donald Trump?
Nick Steele loves Donald Trump, so that would never happen.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Say thanks, Tony.
Nick Steele might make out with Donald Trump. He loves him so
Oh,
much.
okay.
Yeah.
Damon Farah,
Yep.
who goes to
Super fan Damon.
He's unbelievable.
Yep,
I mean,
nice guy.
Brian Malone said I was a really good fan. There need to be more fans like me. I think there needs to be more fans like him because he buys everybody
Yes,
shirts.
yes.
You could have 4 different shirts, and within 2 weeks, Damon's going to own them all.
Right. No, he's
know?
he's a very nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he said, first off, I miss seeing you wrestle at the shows.
Yes.
But it's nice to see you still active and at shows.
Yeah.
He's looking forward to seeing you possibly April 26th in Brockton and definitely June 7th
Okay.
at Fall River. As for the question, what did you... you didn't watch it. I can answer it, I guess. What did you think of last night's Mania as well as the huge show at MSG? You can definitely... Saturday night. You
Yeah.
can answer
Well,
that one.
the show, there was definitely a couple real, it was inspirational in a sense because I do want to work backstage somewhere.
Right.
Or with Top Rope and make it bigger and bigger.
Yep.
You know, I guess that would always be what I'm looking forward to doing. Whether or not it ever happens, you know, it is what it is. But it's inspirational. I think one of the big takeaway is to realize how close things like that actually are.
Right.
You know, like I was talking to JD and Channing Thomas on though. I said, you know, it might seem so far away, like I could never do that, but going there and seeing it and knowing these guys, especially the guys you know, or
Right.
you know, Melonis and stuff, it's like it's not out of reach. It's possible.
Right.
It is possible. You just have to put in the work, and those guys put in the work, years and years and years of work. Except for TK and Flip. I mean, they got signed very quickly. Kofi too, yeah, 6 months in.
Yeah.
But then he did another 11 years. I'm sure there's times when he was on the edge, you know, like, why am I even doing this?
Yep.
It's not going anywhere. But they stuck with it, and it pays off. You know, you stick around long enough, it'll pay dividends. So I thought the show overall was really good. It was really cool seeing a lot of the New Japan stuff. But I think there was my favorite match was the Zappa Jr.
Yeah.
And who did he wrestle?
Did he wrestle Juice?
Nope. Juice was in the
Okay.
6-man. Zappa Jr. and I don't know. It was just a very technical match.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that, and it was different than anything else on the card. So that's what I really enjoyed about that match. Yeah.
Nice. How about you want to just plug the next upcoming show before we play the name game?
Sure. The next Top Rope show or Pro Wrestling Super Show is Friday, April 26th, and we've got a decent card. We're doing Nico Silva and Elia Markopolis, which is something I'm looking forward to.
Right.
I think Elia is a really good hand, and he doesn't fit into the typical indie style.
Right.
So he's going to be able to give Nico a different type of match, and Nico will be able to learn from somebody different. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually really want to put Nico with Brandon Locke too. Like I go to the Liberty States shows.
Yep.
Because my guys get booked on the shows.
Right.
So I go and support and whatever. And Todd's a good, you know, he's always been super nice to me.
Right.
And I saw Elia wrestle Robo, and then the next month he wrestled Brandon Locke, and I was like, those are two guys I'd really like to put Nico with. And it just so happened that we were able to put Elia with him this time. But I just thought, I saw the way they worked with Robo and tried to lead him through the match,
Right.
and I thought that was really cool. I think Nico would really benefit from that, even though Nico's at this point leading a lot of other guys through
Right.
matches. I don't think that should be his responsibility 3 years in. So to have older guys there that can teach him and show him the way, I think will benefit him. So that's a match I'm looking forward to a few matches, but that's the match I'm really looking forward to, just for the learning experience of it all. And then Teddy Goods will wrestle Channing Thomas. Chuck O'Neil will wrestle his favorite opponent of all time, Devil's Reject, Brandon Webb, who is also Matt Taven's favorite opponent of all time. Yes.
Nice.
And I say
He
that
is good, though.
I say that with so much sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just Brandon's just, sometimes he's really good, and then other times he's just really off.
Yeah.
So it's hard to
Right.
judge sometimes. But yeah, and then there's some other matches. We've got a lot of students from my school there. Jason Daniels, Brett Ryan Gosselin, who used to wrestle as Todd Harris, Channing Thomas, Matt Thompson. There's a new kid, Matt Thompson. He's not even a kid. He's like 33 years old. He's huge. He's
Really?
like 6'5". He's got to be 250, former MMA fighter. He did MMA for 11 years.
Yep.
But before that, he trained with Rudy Boy Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. Down to Texas.
Yes. So he's got a good pedigree.
Right.
A lot of the stuff he does is just a little different,
Yep.
enough to make it go, oh, that's different, you
Right.
know. But super athletic, really
Nice.
athletic. Everything he does is smooth for such a big guy.
Right.
So I mean, he is older, so I don't know where he wants to go or where he thinks he can go, but like he's really good.
Nice.
Really good. So I'm looking forward to that. And then to just kind of touch on Damon's question a little more. So I wanted to come back to wrestling.
Right.
You know, I left wrestling because I was dissatisfied with what I was doing. I was hurt. You know, my back's all messed up, but I'm not going to get the surgery. So I was like, well, I might as well just continue to hurt my back, right?
Right.
Well, and so I told Teddy in January, I said, hey, I was thinking coming back in April, I think I'll team with Jason Daniels, because when we shave our heads, we look like father and son. It'll give him something to do. I'll be in a tag, so I'll have less stress on me. And he said, that's a great idea. And then like 2 months later, Jason Daniels won the tag title with Tyler Nitro. I said, okay, I guess I'm not coming back. So way to make me feel wanted. I can't even get booked for my own shows.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well, like you had said, like with answering Damon's question, because I was ready to jump right over the WrestleMania part
Yep.
and get to the name game. WrestleMania, Damon, I thought was awesome to see all the titles change except for two, if I'm not mistaken. The Usos kept their title, and Samoa Joe, every other title changed hands. It was a long show, but it was really good.
Yeah.
I thought the main event was really good. Got to see a buddy of mine doing some backstage work, so extra work. So it was really, really cool.
yeah, good.
All right, so
I look forward to not watching it.
there you go. I'll tell you anything you need to
There,
know.
thank you.
This one won, this one lost. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so the name game.
Okay, we didn't get to play the name game last time.
Exactly.
Because I was talking too much.
That's
so
all right.
I'll try to. Oh, you know what? Too before I say
Yeah.
it, because I don't know who's on the name
Okay.
game, but I do want to say that I was actually the weekend started out well with AG
Yes.
and him getting signed to
Evolve.
Evolve.
Yes.
So yeah, I didn't make a big post about it because he's Brian Fury's student now.
Right.
But and Fury should take the credit, or should have most of the credit. There.
Right.
I did want to say that I've had flack with him in the past over some things, but I was really happy to see that for him because
Yeah.
I know how much he loves wrestling. Like
Right.
he's really a student of the game.
Yes.
I mean, he was going to Yankee Pro shows in 2000 at Braintree High School,
Yeah.
and then he grew up through it, and he was a ref, and he was a disturber, and then he started to learn to wrestle, and then he did the right thing, which was when he outgrew my school, he went
Yep.
on to the next school, which I think is important to do. I just didn't like the way he left, and we'll never be friends the way we were friends before, but I thought seeing that just again proves that if you stick with it and if
Yeah.
you love it and you dedicate yourself to it, it will happen.
Right.
And I think it was very deserving. He tried to do so many different things. He was AG all good, and
Yeah.
he was the Cam-Ann connection, and he finally found something that fit. And I always tell the guys, I said, look, if AG tried to be retrosexual when he first started, it would have never worked.
Right.
He had to go out just as Anthony Green, and he had to make these connections and network with these people and show that he was dedicated
Right.
and that he was just a good hand anyways. He was a solid, good worker. And then over time, once he finally found the gimmick that fit him, he was able to kind of cash in his chips and say,
Right.
this is what I've got, and people trusted him to try it. It doesn't hurt that he has those two beautiful women with him either. Platinum honey shirts, but I did say, I wanted to make sure I said, congratulations to him and Fury, because it's great, and he's so young, and the sky's the limit. So it was really good seeing that.
Yeah, it definitely was. I remember him going to shows too.
Yeah.
Just a little chubby kid
Little Mark.
yelling at everybody.
yeah.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how about I want to ask about this guy because he's never been brought up in here. I don't know if he
ooh.
still works down there
Okay.
or not. Sean O.
Oh, Sean O.
Yeah.
No.
No
he had-
longer works for you guys?
I know he disappeared years ago. I don't know, man. Talk about. Look, I always got along with Sean O.
Yeah.
And I liked going out and having a beer with him. But there's just some people in wrestling you take in small doses.
Right.
So like after maybe an hour or two, it'd be like, okay, like it's easy to get sucked into that bitterness.
Yeah.
And he was very bitter just about life in general. And that was too bad because I think he did have a big heart, and I thought
Yeah.
he was a decent person. It was easy to get sucked into that bitterness. And then it was like some people we talked about earlier, once they start running their mouths, they can't stop. And he doesn't, and I don't know what happened to him. He deleted me off Facebook. I don't think I ever did anything to him.
Right.
The last time I saw him, we all hung out at my house after a show at South Middle School, and we got drunk, and he ended up having to stay on the couch with Biff Busick. And that's like the last time I ever saw of them.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad it brought, like I said, I never brought him up here. And I know at one point he was very controversial on the message boards. 'Cause
Yeah.
He was the type of guy that would say whatever he wanted. But God forbid, if you ever went into his face, and he'd call the cops. He used to tell people, I'll call the cops.
I think it's really cool in a sarcastic way that like his big thing was like, I'm really controversial on the
Oh, he'd
message
say
boards.
it. Oh,
On
he'd-
the message boards. Yeah, okay. No, but he was controversial in general because he
Right,
would get in trouble at his news station, and he would always post about like his neighbors, and it was just like got too much. Like I've got stress of my own. I don't need to put yours. And the minute you said something like that, he'd just like cut you out for life. So
Right. All right.
yeah.
How about Congo?
Oh, Mike.
Wild Man Congo.
Congo's cool, man. I like Congo. When we first started, he started with Bob. I won't say I didn't like him, but I looked at him as just kind of a big slob, you know, just not in shape. Didn't seem like he cared about anything, and he proved us all wrong. I feel bad for Congo because I feel like he is a really good worker.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't able to really, really prove it. Like he should be one of New England's like best, at least when he was in more of his prime. And he should have been going everywhere. And it never even got to that like, oh my God, Congo's on the show. Like there's guys locally that you're like, wow, this guy's great.
Yeah.
We've got to see him locally. And I felt like Congo could have been there and he didn't get there.
Right.
He's one of the guys I really would have liked to have wrestled just because.
Right.
One time we were at a bar, actually it was Vinny Marseglia's bar at the time, and we did a show, and I think he really gained our respect because he was walking out of the bar and some guy, there was some gangbangers over in the corner.
Yeah.
And I walked by and he said something to him about him being a funny dude or something like that, and like just kind of like rubbed Congo the wrong way. And it almost turned into a big fight. But Congo stood his ground, and it was really cool to see that he gained a whole new respect for me. Good worker, good guy, really good guy. Nice. Super guy. So
Sonny had said he wished he wrestled them too.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'd like to come out of retirement even just to work a program with them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How about Craig Costa?
That's random.
Yeah,
what a
I
random
never brought
name.
him up either. I'm going to random guys here.
Craig knows he's a head case. So I'm not saying anything that you don't already know, Craig. He's a head case. He's all over. I mean, nice guy.
Right.
But just all over the place a lot of times, and I never know if he's coming or going. Having a conversation with him is a lot of fun. He's a character. Not a good wrestler. You know, just can get through things.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Some of us are just bodies like me.
Right.
You know, just bodies, right? So that's cool too. That's fine. Yeah, I don't even know if he comes and goes. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Nice guy though.
How about a guy that just came back, and I think last time we brought him up on your first appearance as underrated, I think, Chris Venom.
Yeah, well, maybe he's underrated now. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't think he was underrated when he was really doing it, though. I think he was one of those guys that people were like, oh, he's really good.
Right.
And that you have to go see him wrestle. If he's on a card and no matter who he's wrestling, it's going to be a good match. I don't think he's the same Chris Venom as he was before. Like, I think he's just doing it for fun now and hang out with his friends. And that's cool too, because, you know, he's still good.
Right.
I just don't think he's taking it as seriously as he once did. He wrestled Nico at Caleb Seltzer's show a couple months ago, so I was really happy to see that because again, I want Nico to get these learning experiences.
Right.
But Chris Venom he helped in a small way turn Top Rope around, and in a big way helped me in my wrestling.
Nice.
Because when I went to Slam Tech, it wasn't Bob. Bob was there on Thursdays and he was there on Tuesdays. So I always went on Tuesdays because although I liked Bob, he small doses at the time.
Yep.
So I got along with Chris, and I think we did something similar. We worked in a similar field. So I would go there, and he taught me a lot about psychology and just kind of working one body part. And then I think he trusted me, or we trusted each other, so that when I started taking over the book at Top Rope, he would send some of the students down, and no longer was it the Yankee Pro Wrestling Club. It turned into Yankee Pro Wrestling, which then turned into Top Rope Promotions. Because Yankee Pro Wrestling was it was a club where anybody could wrestle. It was just those guys didn't care about how they looked, and they didn't care about how bad they were. There were some good wrestlers there, don't get me wrong, or some passable wrestlers there. You know, Brickhouse, Scott Ashworth.
Right.
Those are Don Vega.
Yeah.
So there were definitely some passable guys there, but for the most part, it was a lot of guys that just weren't very good.
Right.
So when I took over the book and we were able to kind of push some of those guys out because we said, come to practice and get better, or leave.
Right.
So there was a hole to fill, and we filled them with Slam Tech guys, and luckily Bob was open to it too. But that was Chris Venom's doing, the help, and he vouched for me, and I think he helped Top Rope grow, even if even if it's just a small amount,
Right.
he did. And I'll always be appreciative of that, because I probably would not have tried to open that door to Bob,
Right.
but Chris Sean did. So that was always good. And I learned a lot from him. So
Nice, because I remember you telling us the story. Dear Yankee Pro Wrestling,
Dear Yankee,
you
yeah.
guys suck.
And they did.
I
They
believe
did.
you.
I mean, it was just such a, it was New Bedford wrestling,
Right.
New Bedford Fall River wrestling. Then everybody else was out here.
Right.
And I remember first starting and being fed the lines, oh, Triple H wrestled here and all these guys wrestled there, which was true. They did wrestle there. They did come through, but they weren't there because the wrestling was good. They were just looking for work. And the minute something better came along or anything came along, they left.
Right.
They were just looking for work. The way our guys look for work, and if we have a free weekend, we'll go to Showcase or NCW,
Yep.
because that's, they're there to help guys, but they don't do it solidly. So when we took over, I didn't want to be a club. I wanted to grow and be part of New England wrestling.
Right.
And I think we've done that. I really feel like South Coast people don't always go, oh, those New Bedford guys anymore. It's the top rope guys, which is fine because you got the top rope guys and the chaotic guys and
Right.
the XWA
Right.
guys. Everybody has their guys. But I feel like we now have a good group of guys, and we don't get made fun of as much as we once did.
Right.
No more than when we make fun of the North Shore guys.
Right. I have to bring this guy up because you brought him up a couple times earlier, and I've noticed that he's really starting to come into his own. Channing Thomas.
Yeah. Channing Thomas was a lot of fun to drive down with. He can stir the pot with the best of them, and he's just starting out. So in 5 years, watch out for this kid.
Right.
I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's young, and he's going through a lot of the same stuff that all the other guys I've
Right.
met are going through, and it's this kind of not a lack of self-confidence, this lack of reassurance, because when you're that new, I think he's a couple years in, but he's just really kind of starting to venture out. You've got so many people in your ear about what you should and shouldn't do. And it's hard to decipher what you should and shouldn't do. So he's been leaning on me for the last month or two. He's been coming to practice, training for the last 6 to 8 months regularly. And then he's been leaning on me a lot more, just talking about wrestling and trying to decipher the context of wrestling, because saying something's wrong is wrestling is not black and white. It's shades of gray, and you have to be able to talk things through. And anybody that tries to tell you it's just one way or the highway, they're wrong. It might be their preferred way.
Yep.
But it's not the only way. Because I always say I've done seminars with like Jamie Noble, Ricky Steamboat, Matt Hardy, Luna Vachon. I mean, everybody that's made money in wrestling.
Yeah.
Les Thatcher, Terry Taylor, all those guys. And they've all said different things. Even the Jeff Jarrett seminar, he had a different way of running the ropes.
Right.
Are you telling me it's wrong? It's not wrong. It's just a preferred way.
Yep.
And you've got to be open to other people's preferred way. So if they have, Channing Thomas came to my school, and he had a couple different ways that he were trained by Bo. And I never said it was wrong. I said, okay, I can see that because I've seen it before. I said, this is how I do it. You don't have to. You're already trained. But this is how I do it. This is why I do it, and this is where I feel like it comes from. But you can even ask my students. Like sometimes I'm long-winded in practice because I don't want them to have the training I had where it's this way and that's it.
Right.
And then you go somewhere and they're like, no, it's not. And then you think your trainer is bad.
Right.
I give them like, this is how some people do it. Let's practice it this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. And then this is why I do it. This is why I like it. This is where it's best used, but you can also use it here and here and here. And it's mind-boggling.
Right. Well, yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely not one way. There's
It's not.
all kinds of ways.
And that's
to
what's
do
beautiful about
Right.
wrestling is what excited me about wrestling and still does when I go on YouTube and stuff is that like I know what I'm going to see at WrestleMania.
Right.
I know what I'm going to see when I see Fergal Devitt against Ricochet. Like I know what I'm going to see.
Right.
But if I see Tugboat versus Mr. Perfect, I'm like, I want to see that.
Right.
Because it's just a dichotomy of,
contrast. The
yeah, it's a
styles,
clash, man.
Yeah.
So I think that's really missing in wrestling. So I really encourage people to have a different a different style and be okay with that different style, and don't necessarily listen to people that tell you everything's wrong, because it's not. It's just a preferred way. Although there is some stuff that's wrong. But back to Channing Thomas. Definitely a lot of potential. I could see him doing really, really well. Just got to get his feet wet, not get bogged down in the, not the politics, just the outside of wrestling can be very discouraging. And maybe keep his head on straight and just keep listening to Drew, as in Ryan Drew.
Yep. And he's young.
Drink my Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Drink my
and
Kool-Aid.
he's young, so
Yes.
he's got plenty of time to learn more things.
Yep.
How about a guy?
Just real quick.
Yeah.
I do want to state, because he has been coming through training, that I did not train Channing Thomas from the start. He's just been coming the last 6 to 8
Right.
months. That was Bo Douglas at the Bell Time Club. He did a really good job with him. So if we're going to, don't forget him. It's not my student.
Right.
There's a couple of good trainers that I don't think get any credit out there, which Bo's one of them, because Channing Thomas and that kid Alec Price,
Yeah.
they have a lot of potential, and
Definitely.
they learn some good basics from him. And then there's Don Vega down at Showcase Pro Wrestling. Don Vega was somebody I always try to use when I could, because I always thought he got a bum rap because he started in that Yankee Pro
Right,
South
right.
Coast Fun Club. And I always thought he got a bum rap, and I thought he was a better worker than he ever got credit for.
Right.
Now, they haven't had the guys come out of there so that they can say, yeah, I must be a good trainer because I trained this guy. So they're just missing that one or two key guy that they can hang
Right.
their hat on, and then people are like, oh, he's a good trainer.
Yeah.
But I've seen obviously Bo because of Channing Thomas and Alec Price, and I know I've seen some stuff with Don Vega, and I go, that's perfectly suffice.
Right.
That's great stuff, So just a shout out to those guys. And I don't even know. It's not like I know these. I'm not friends with these guys.
Right, right.
I just want to give them credit because nobody gave me credit for years until Taven got big and Vinny and stuff. So,
Nice. All right. How about Jason Blade?
this is so random. I don't know. Blade was nice.
Yeah.
I didn't like working with him. I didn't necessarily like working with him, even though I thought our matches were okay. Just because he was a little more spotty than I am, and that's fine. Just a contrast in style. So maybe why it was good, because it was challenging and made me had to do something different. But I always got along with him. I remember one time I was at a bar with him, and I was sipping on beers and he was sipping on water. I don't know.
Right.
And I just looked at him. I said, it was just me and him, and I looked at him and said, this is awkward, huh? And he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, just sitting here having to make small talk. He goes, what are you talking about? I've known you for 10 years. We're friends, aren't we? And I was like, oh, I misinterpreted that. I don't know. I thought we didn't like each other, But no, he's cool. He's cool.
Now, going back real quick to like you were saying how Channing Thomas now comes to your school.
Yeah.
I see a lot that people do move around after they've got, which I think is fantastic because you can learn, like we had talked about it before in your first appearance, that you, as a 10-year veteran wrestling a guy that's got 1 year, you can actually learn from him.
Of course, yeah.
Matt was telling us all about that when he was on.
I just, a couple weeks ago, I went to Mike Hollow seminar that APW was running, and I brought a couple of the kids with me.
I had heard that you went up there,
Jason and Travis and Brett. So I brought them up, and they did a 3-hour seminar with him, and then I took notes, extensive notes, because I knew Hollow of Hollow,
Right.
And he's got a good pedigree, and I didn't get to talk to him in depth. I picked his brain a little, and I've been wanting to make my way back up there. It is very far. I work on Sundays,
Right.
but I've wanted to go back up there just, again, to pick the brain, see how he does it. Maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't type of thing, but I can always learn something different, so.
Nice. All right, so listen, I got random names. Do me a favor, pick one.
No,
you sure? You want to do it?
You do it.
Because I wanted to make sure you talk about people you want to. How about referee Kevin Quinn?
Oh, I don't like Kevin Quinn. He knows it.
All right.
Well, I shouldn't say I don't like him. I like him enough.
Yeah.
Okay. The issue I had with him is because he just doesn't come off genuine. He comes off very insincere. It comes off very pro wrestling. And I say that because I spent a weekend with him one time. I think it was a series of NEW shows. And my God, he could not stop putting himself over. just everything he was saying. He was like, I took a better bump than Jimmy Preston because Vader said so. And I'm just like, oh my God, you were like 2 years in. I mean, you're a good ref. He is a very good ref.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he looks the part.
Right.
And he is nice.
Yeah.
But after that, and then in the locker room one time, like he reffed my match, and then he's like, hey, Drew, like, I love working with you because when I work with you, it's a night off. And I'm like, well, that's really nice. And then he said it to like the next 3 matches. And I'm like, you know what? You didn't have to kiss my butt. Like, just don't even say it.
Right.
But instead, what I got was just not very genuine. And I just was like, ugh. And I feel bad because everybody else is like, he's a great guy. And I'm just like, that just ruined it for me. That just... Yeah, so I shouldn't have said I don't like him, but that just ruined it for me. Maybe one day we'll have coffee and we'll do better. I don't know.
You're definitely going to have beers.
We can't have beers. Yeah,
no
I
beers.
saw that.
How about powerful Pat Garrett?
Pat's very nice.
Yeah.
Pat is super, super nice. I don't know if I've ever met anybody as nice as powerful Pat Garrett. He's just a nice guy, willing to learn. I think about a year or a half ago, we were outside and I finally just said to him, stop bumping for everybody. You're too big.
Dude.
You are too big. And he's like, I'm just trying to be nice. And I'm like, stop being nice.
Right.
But super nice guy. He just did his thing with Chuck O'Neill in Brockton and he was super, super over, very pleased with it. And I'm so glad that we did that for him and what he's done for us, which is,
right.
bringing people in and just putting us over, Because he was wrestling for House of Baker for years, and
that was the only place he was
the
working?
only place, yeah.
Right.
But now he's able to wrestle like a solid group of guys.
Yep.
And I think he likes that,
Nice.
instead of going down there and wrestling kids.
Because I knew he was starting. He was starting to kill it with that top rope. Because last couple of shows I've just been reading, how great he's been doing.
He's been doing really well. I think he's 50 years old. He's a big guy,
Right.
so you don't expect him to move around as well as he does. He moves around very well, and Chuck did a fantastic job leading him.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I was so afraid of that match.
Yeah.
The way it came about, it was supposed to be a one-off right after something, and then it got, we brought in Dreamer, and we stretched it out a bit, and I was very afraid of it because Chuck wrestles a completely different style. He's still very green.
Right.
And he did really well keeping it on track. The crowd was hot. Pat did awesome. It was the best match of the show, which
Nice.
there was a lot of good matches on that show. So he did his job.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm playing with
Oh,
my
that's
microphone.
right. Dick will yell at you later.
Sorry, Dick.
How about a guy got coming in tomorrow? Another trainer
Yes.
and owner of Chaotic Wrestling, Brian Fury.
I was afraid you were going to bring that up. No, because I don't know how to feel.
Okay.
I've had limited contact with him. I've tried to make small talk with him once or twice when he was going to AG's, and I feel like I probably should have a better relationship with him, given that we're two of the best trainers in New England.
Yep.
But the opportunity was never there.
Right.
I remember him from when I first started. He was in SCCW as Brian Jury.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I'll be bringing that up tomorrow.
Yeah. And when I first started, I remember, just watching him and that guy's good, So I don't know. I've never had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him. So I can't either way.
Right.
There's probably a little bit of professional rivalry on my end.
Right.
Because he's the best trainer in New England. So there is always probably going to be that professional rivalry, but I don't make too much of it. The funny thing is, his best friend is Julian Starr.
Yeah.
And Julian Starr is basically me. I'm like, wow, we have the same sense of humor, the same self-deprecating sense of humor, the same anxiety and depression. So I'm like, wow, we are basically the same. So I don't know why I don't have a relationship with Fury. I just think the opportunity was never there.
Right.
I did try to reach out to Chaotic because I was going to be doing a show in Lowell again this year at the Spinners. It was up in the air. I didn't want to do it alone. Because I ran there last year out of spite for Chaotic because they ran down on the South Shore.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll show you. I'll go run up on the North Shore. And that it didn't work out great. But so I was like, well, this year, okay, I'm over that. So I reached out through AG I think he talked to Chase and Fury, and they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to have anything to do with the Spinners, but I was going to do Top Rope versus Chaotic.
Right.
And I was going to do that in Lowell and Brockton. So we'll put them over up in Lowell.
Yeah.
They're the hometown. You put us over in Brockton. 2 big shows for everybody
Right.
involved. We don't have to bring in the big names. everybody makes a little bit of money. I try to repair the relationship between the Spinners and Chaotic because there's new people in both offices. So if I could help mend that bridge, I'd love to do that. And they weren't interested. That's cool. I did my part.
Right.
Really try to make it work for them. It's unfortunate. I thought that would have been really cool, really different. You know.
Yeah,
the
definitely.
Two best organizations. They've got the best schools.
Right.
South Shore,
Been
North
around a
Shore.
long. I mean, Chop Row's been around longer, but
Yeah.
Chaotic's been around a
They
long
have.
time now.
Yeah, probably 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it would have been really cool. I never reached out to them. I did it through AG.
Right.
It's sad, but whatever. Whatever will be, will be.
Right. And you never know. Maybe it'll work out down the line. You never know. Maybe just by saying that
maybe
right here.
me, Fury, and Kevin Quinn can go get a coffee.
There you go.
Probably not. I'm annoying.
All right. So how about Jimmy Preston?
Jimmy's just like Craig Costa, man. If Jimmy could get out of his head,
Yeah.
he, I think, really would have done really well. I don't want to say made it, but he could. He had the tools.
Right.
He had the look. He got the charisma. You know, probably not the best wrestler in the world, but could definitely get somebody through a good match, especially now being a veteran. And I don't think we've given him the opportunity yet to be in that position, but I think he can be as a singles wrestler.
Right.
So we're just waiting on that. I like Jimmy. Jimmy, I used to bring to training.
Oh, yeah?
When we first met, he was at Top Rope, and he lived in Mansfield. So I used to go from Brockton to Mansfield, pick him up at this little video store, and we'd drive up to practice together. And then he went to Bob's, and we broke apart for a little while. But I like Jimmy. I get along with Jimmy. His politics are great. We get along on that. I just wish he could have got out of his head a little more because he really, especially when he was younger,
Right.
man, he had it all. He really could have made something of himself. But, you know, now he does it for the love of it, and who knows?
Right.
Who knows what could still happen, you know?
Yep. How about a guy? I think he might have managed you before. Sean Gorman.
Oh, man, I love Sean Gorman. I always, that was the favorite part of my career was me, him, and Matt Magnum.
Yeah, you had said when you teamed with Matt was
it
a lot
really
of fun.
was. It clicked really, really well. Similar personalities. I thought that he had a good mind for everything. Just fun outside the ring, good inside the ring. We clicked. I've always thought if I went off on my own, I was like, I wonder if, as promoting, like if I could convince Gorman to come in and book the shows. Just really good. I loved his book. I read his book.
I was going to ask you that. That was a follow-up
Yeah,
question
yeah.
because I want to read the first one for
It's
sure.
good. It's really good.
Right.
Yeah. And the whole thing is, it is about wrestling, but it's not about wrestling. It's also
Right.
about his personal life.
Yeah.
But you still feel intrigued.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a really good time. I like Sean. I think he's very funny. I would say he's Mayor McCheese, except I think it's below him.
Right.
I think
Yeah, I know what
something
you're
like
saying.
that would
Yeah,
below
yeah.
him.
Yeah. He'd rather shit at your face,
Yeah,
not behind your
right,
back.
right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yep, but I really like Sean Gorman. I wish he was around more. I really wish I had spent more time with Gorman and DC and Eddie Edwards during that NECW time because
Right.
Gorman used to say, I don't know why you and DC don't get along. And it was probably because we were just so much alike.
Right. That was the next name.
Yeah. Oh,
was
DC?
Yeah, I was going to go through the four of them, because,
Yeah.
there's four of them
Yep.
at tight.
DC, you know what? The thing with DC, so I think we're just kind of similar. Like, I'm not going to go over and I'm not going to pander to you, and he wasn't going to come over
Right.
and pander to me. And so we just never got that opportunity, except for one time at Dragon Gate, and this was 2013, 2012, I don't remember. And I was supposed to have, I think, a four-way with like him, Fury, Kevin Perry, and me or something. But I was going through one of my heart attack phases.
Right.
So I showed up and I wasn't going to have the match because I had on a Holter monitor so that they could monitor me for 30
Right.
days. And he saw it, and then he just started talking to me about his health problems and his, anxiety and all that stuff. And like we end up having a good conversation, and I realized we had a lot in common. And I said, I always felt bad, like, oh man, maybe I should have cut this guy a break and not have been so off-putting to him. And likewise, I'm sure he was very
Right.
he was an aggressive personality too. And so after he passed away, it was one of those things that you go, I really wish. It's the same with Big Woody.
Yeah.
Because when me and Big Woody talked,
Yep.
we just briefly talked about when he was like, oh, your retirement, I said, I see your post. I feel like we probably would have got along really well.
Oh, I think you would have.
You know,
Everybody loved Woody.
Yeah,
It's
like
true.
just we seem to have a lot politically
Right.
and wrestling wise related, and I guess I wish I had that time to have met up with you and have that moment. But same with
Right.
DC, it would have been probably nice.
How about George Carroll?
George is funny. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like he likes me, other times I don't. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. That's what the wrestling game does to you, I
Right.
guess. Is that I don't know if he's just blowing smoke up my butt or he's being honest with me. I just don't know. But I knew George from NEW. He was the first NEWA. He was the first booking guy that gave me a booking outside of Yankee Pro Wrestling. So he put me in the ring with. I think it was the Mighty Mini. I think I wrestled. No, I think it was Psycho.
Okay, was that in Quincy?
Yep.
I think I was there.
Yes,
When
yeah.
you wrestled Psycho,
Psycho,
because I used to
yeah.
sell merchandise.
Okay.
At George's shows. That's where I first saw Kofi Kingston too.
Oh, okay.
Kofi came out and I was like, boo, and he's like, shut your mouth and sell your tapes.
He was like, New Day.
Yeah. Look at him though now, right? Isn't it incredible? How about I know he's working for a Top Rope now, Chris Dickinson, seeing that he lives in Massachusetts.
Again, I just think I'm not very forthcoming. Like I'm very insulated.
Yep.
I don't go out of my way to say hi to people, and it could come off very bad,
Right.
I guess. But it's just because I'm not confident. I'm just not a confident guy. So it has only been recently where we've just kind of hey hi and just kind of talked a little, and just the humor has mended that bridge, I guess. But the last few times I've really enjoyed talking to him, and I hope that I can more in the future and pick his brain and see what he
Nice.
thinks about wrestling. I'm sure he's got a lot to share,
Right. Nice. How about a guy that's injured right now, Anthony Stone? Do you know Anthony at all?
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I know him a little. It was unfortunate to see
Yeah.
what happened to him. Nice guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice guy.
How about Luscious Latasha?
Luscious Latasha. She's been around forever, man.
Yeah.
Good girl. Yeah, we've done a lot together.
Nice.
I'm trying to run through them. I see the
Yeah.
clock. I'm like,
How about Mike McCarthy?
I just recently started to get to know Mike.
Okay.
He's a weirdo.
How about George Animal Steel? Was he?
I'd never met him.
Okay, I thought he was on one of your
No,
shows. I'm sorry.
Taven killed him on a NEW show.
All right. The Egomaniacs.
I
Idol?
don't know.
All right.
I know Johnny Idol.
Yeah.
He's great. I love Johnny Idol. He's the best. I wrestled him once. It was such a bad match. We were so disappointed in each other afterwards. We were like, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, I'm sorry. We just weren't on our game. I think we were both nervous. And
Right.
because afterwards we were like, I just didn't want to mess it up. And I was like, I didn't want to mess it up.
Right.
So
All right, plug the next show again.
April 26th, Brockton, Massachusetts. Jump over the dead bodies in the parking lot and come to the show.
Yes, guys. Listen, I'm going to send you some more dates because, listen, we
I know.
barely hit this, too. That's great, though. That's all right.
All right.
Guys, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Brian Fury. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks.
Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.